3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
Wow, and that is amazing. Now, after on go, we all clap together, okay? 3, 2, 1, go.
Fuck.
You fuck up a clap.
On go, okay? So 3,
On
2,
go.
1, go, okay?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
Fuck! I fucked. What
did you do wrong?
Let me count out.
What?
Trihards.
Anyway, welcome everyone to the Trihards show.
Right, I'm bored at this point.
Hey, both of you don't speak until I introduce you, okay? Good. This is the first episode, and probably the last, because no one can seem to get anything working. And I said, wait, no speaking.
That's true.
Bro.
I'm allowed to laugh. Come on.
No speaking. Okay? You ready?
Yeah.
I said no speaking.
Okay, go ahead.
And we're gonna reveal. I don't know which side who's gonna be on, so we'll figure that out after. We're gonna reveal Syn and Gim's faces for the first time ever. I hope you're ready, because I am too. Drum roll. We're gonna go Gim first. Fuck it.
Okay.
Back.
Yo, Wagwan.
Okay, that was it. Well done, guys.
All right. So yeah, podcast, guys. We have a
Woo.
podcast. Yeah. So for people like wondering why we started podcast, I think it might be a good idea to explain why. So essentially, us three, we've known each other for a while now, but when it comes to what we do, making Skyrim content, it's not that easy to collaborate. So this is a way for us three to collaborate and maybe do something outside of Skyrim modding, something more relaxed, something more chill.
Also, if you wanted to know the full story, we actually had something way more intricate planned that was going to be really, really good, and none of us could ever figure out how to actually get it to work. So we decided, let's just fuck it and just do something we can record once a week for an hour, and then that'll be the extent of our workload.
I think it's still on the table. It's just we kind of need to coordinate ourselves to actually do it. And I still think that the idea is masterful. We just have to get into a mindset of actually getting that done. And honestly, I don't see why not. Especially if we actually break the ice with this podcast, I don't see why not.
Yeah, like 5 podcasts in or something, we can start doing something.
Yeah.
Also, I think a reason for this podcast in general was just to get us to do something on the channel, because once you get started with it, then it's kind of like, well, now you're on a roll, you can't stop. Because like as soon as you don't start something, you can start that whenever. You can keep delaying it because you haven't done anything yet. Once you have something going, you then have to like maintain it.
Right.
So that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, because we made a channel like a year ago or some shit. If you look at when it was created, there's nothing
Also,
there.
in editing, I'll put on our original logo right now. Someone put that there. And
they will not understand the context behind those staves, though.
see, that's important as well, though, because if we was doing a podcast back then, that would have all been recorded.
Show them the original
memories.
Show them the original banner as well. The one I made.
Oh, sub please.
Yeah.
Well, I think technically you're editing this, so there you go, Gim. You did it. Well done. Also, I actually think something, because we have to remember as well, we obviously have spoke a lot over a long time, so we kind of get nullified with what the audience like knows. So we should actually probably start, for everyone that doesn't know, with just explaining like how we guys met, like what our story is like going, and we'll just go from there. So Gim, you introduce us with how that started.
Yeah, from the start?
Yes, from the very start.
I guess, okay, so when I had like 500 subs, obviously you want to share your own content, and the best place to annoy people with that is on Reddit. And I always saw this weirdo posting like, transforming Skyrim into Dark Souls and shit like that. And that was the only other person making Skyrim content. That was obviously you. So that's how I found your channel. And then I don't remember, like...
You sent me a business email.
Yeah, it was basically email saying, because at the time I wasn't using a controller to record my footage, which you have to do to get like smooth, to explain to the audience, you have, like get smooth motions, zoom in properly. So I was like, I knew I had to get a controller, but I had to confirm it because it costs money. I don't like spending money. So I sent Burnsy an email saying, yo, you don't use your mouse to control the camera, do you? And you were like, no. and then you offered up your Discord, and from there we played like Warzone once.
Was that before or after we kind of like became friends? I don't think like I helped you with the camera and you was like, let's play Warzone tomorrow. I don't think that happened.
No, we probably chatted. We were like, because we were pretty much the only two guys doing Skyrim mods content, like proper modding.
Also when you're small and you're just starting out, it kind of feels a bit lonely for everyone, because you everyone that's already in the scene have already like made it, so they're not going to fucking speak to you, or if you just add them, they don't know who you are or whatever. So to find people that like are doing what you do and that you can commune with, you have to kind of find people that are your own fucking size. And
so we were just chatting normally, I guess, played Warzone once, and then skip forward a little bit in the future. I probably got a couple of 1,000 subs, and I made the Discord server, which is kind of like, it was the first Discord server of us three. So like Burnsy was the first moderator and shit, and it was just
it was your Discord. Yeah, you was the first to do Discord.
And that was interesting and fun. But I guess that was my first introduction to the whole Discord world, because obviously I don't have a lot of friends that play PC and are into like techie stuff like we are. So that was my introduction to like the Discord world, and obviously we grew closer through that. And then one day, I'm pretty sure I was the first of us to see Syn's videos. I remember because I
actually think because it's actually kind of funny, because the reason we became friends is the same reason that me and Syn became friends.
Yeah, but basically I can tell that story if you want. Yeah,
go ahead.
It's actually really short and simple. I did the combat video, which is like my first video that kind of blew up or whatever, and it was also related to the camera as well, the camera movement. So essentially what I did in one of the shots is I'm like swinging a weapon with my character, but at the same time I'm moving the camera forward. And I guess at that time he didn't necessarily understand how to do this, and it was as simple as changing a hotkey in the game menu, being something else other than left click, and then using that hotkey to swing while you press basically W and TFC to move forward. And then he sent me a message, and I was also at 500 subs back then, but it wasn't a message, it was in a comment.
It was a comment, right? And you didn't see it for like a month or something.
For like almost 3 weeks, and then I saw it, I was like, holy shit, this guy has 30k, right?
Wow. Did I have 30k at that point?
Yeah, you had 30k at that point. Okay. I remember, like, because I used to click on people's profiles back in the day, because I had like 500 subscribers, so I could afford the time to actually click on individual profiles, see who the people are. And I was like, I'll send you a message on Discord how to do it, and then one thing led to another, and we kind of met on Discord,
and then we
made
made out, and it was romantic.
I wouldn't go that far.
Maybe one day.
So I knew who you were, but I've never been the guy to like initiate contact. So I guess
same.
A lot of people.
Do you know what was funny actually? I remember we set up like a group chat or something a while ago, and we typed in it for ages, and I'd obviously been on calls with Syn a lot and been on calls with Gim a lot, and I didn't realise that they've never spoke in the time. Like, they were speaking in text and everything, but they've never been on a call. And then one day we were like, I'm just going to like jump on a call, whatever. And then they both joined, and then like no one was kind of speaking, and I was like, guys.
It was really awkward, because I was convinced, Gim, that you just didn't like me for some reason. I don't know why. Like, I legitimately, like, because I watched your videos, like, before I met Burns and after I met him. And I was like, these videos are really, really cool. It reminds me a little bit of MXR, but like 10 times better, at least in my opinion at the time. And then I was like, okay, this is actually really cool. I kind of like, not necessarily have a competition, but I have somebody to strive to improve content towards. But then as I met Burns and we started speaking and all of that stuff, I was genuinely convinced that you just didn't like me for some reason, and that's why I never like approached you and said anything.
I'm not the guy to like. I don't reach out to people, and then
you say that now. You say that now, but you're always the person like typing, and like half of us don't reply most of the time. Like in the beginning, you're not. You would kind of reply very short or whatever, and then that probably made Syn think, Gim doesn't want to speak to me or whatever. And now you're sending paragraphs being like, have you saw the latest Star Wars episode? And then Syn's the one not replied now.
Star Wars and Batmans and shit.
If I have like memes and shit, I'd send it obviously in our chat now. But I guess even in real life, when I don't speak to people, like, I guess naturally I have a little bit of a bitch face, or what do you say? What do you call it? Like a resting
bitch face. Resting bitch face, right?
It doesn't seem like it now because I'm like obviously talking to you and I got a whole fucking grin on my face. But so a lot of people think I don't like them in real life either when I just don't talk to them.
Is it like the thing that you have heard? You didn't hear it first from me, or is it like? Is it like a common occurrence?
Yeah, I've heard it before. Yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't just me. All right.
Yeah, but
so it's a you problem, Kim.
But once I get to know someone, then it's like that, right?
Then you never stop leaving us alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's from my point of view, like knowing you for like almost a year now, and back then not knowing you, two different people. Yeah. At least from my angle, like legitimately.
I guess back then also I was very active in my own Discord server compared to now. So maybe I don't know. Maybe I had just.
He's also very active on YouTube compared to now. We should actually address that. Gim, why aren't you uploading? Actually, hold on. You did upload.
Yeah.
But we can't count once a year as uploading, so you have to upload at least twice.
Directly on a hard chair.
You have to upload twice within at least 3 months for me to consider you uploading regularly.
Yeah, okay. So to start off, for people that don't know, I'm a full-time student. I also used to have a job. I don't have time for that anymore. So obviously that takes up a lot of my free time. And there's a lot to delve into when it comes to like, do I really want to study this shit and what I really want to do? But at the end of the day, yeah, that's the reason why I haven't uploaded as much as I want to. I'm also very strict with myself when it comes to like what kind of content's good and what I want to upload. But
and hopefully doing the
that
podcast
changes now. Yeah,
it will get you more regularly. Even if you don't upload on your channel as much, like just having you being in the space and like actively doing things is probably just going to get you more like involved. Because if the podcast grows or whatever, and then you're probably just going to feel like, oh well, I can actually maybe start looking at doing YouTube properly now, and like after uni, if I don't know what you want to do after that, but if YouTube is something you still want to pursue,
yeah, that was legitimately why we started the whole Trihards thing, because we were both kind of not necessarily slacking off, but we were both slowing the amount of uploads as compared to what we did when we began our channels.
Yeah.
And then we were like, what can we do to increase productivity? Because we spent so much time editing videos that sometimes you get a little bit burnt out. You want to actually give yourself some free time or whatever it is. And then you get to the point where you end up without basically a month without an upload. So that was like, can we like maybe do something together as like a collaboration, maybe get into the work ethic of doing things? And yeah, that's how we made the Trihards thing.
Yeah, because one of the things that I keep harking on about all the time is like, when you're doing things for yourself, it's easy to just either procrastinate or take too long, or being like a bit of a perfectionist and being like, oh, I'm gonna make this as perfect as I see it until I upload it, and that can mean 3 months without a video. But if you have other people that rely on you to get things done, at a certain point, you've got to be like, okay, I need to get my part done because people are waiting on me. So that's part of why we wanted to do Trihards in the way that we originally wanted to do it, which was make like proper videos. That's the original idea of why we wanted to do that. It was so that we kind of all whipped ourselves into shape and been like, okay, actually make use of your time better, essentially, and get into a better workflow for this type of thing.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that when we made the dev diary.
Yeah,
we have the infamous street scene, which for those who don't know, who haven't seen the new Skyblivion dev diary, it's like a section of 5-6 seconds in the clothing cat, or like where we talk about clothing or show that off. It's like a street with people walking, and that was hell to set up. And I wanted to do even like more. I wanted people to like walk in different directions, but then it's good to have a person like, for example, you, Burnsy, you were like, no, just fuck it, record it and move on.
Yeah, because especially with you at then as well, obviously I've done a few dev diaries before that, so there's probably a part of you that was like, oh, I want to make sure everything's as good as I can do it because it's my first one. I want to like show people what I can do and all that type of thing. So there's probably a bit of a perfectionist in you, even more so than your own video in some ways. That is like, I really want to do really well here. And I was like, it's already better than like any street scene you could possibly get in Skyrim anyway, so just fucking record it and then we can put it in, because it, like, if you actually watch it, and it's probably on screen now, it's like 10 seconds at most, right? And you didn't even use most of the clips from it, so it was like, just get it. It's not even like part of the actual showcase, it was just the intro bit to it.
Yeah.
Even I was partially involved while that was going on, and I remember like you guys staying up until 5 a.m. to actually get this done. And then when I saw the dev diary finally, I was like, it really turned out well, but man, you spent way too much time on a single shot, that's for sure.
Like, we had me, you figuring it out. I was doing creation kit things to build up the scene and like place NPCs certain places. We had someone from the Skyblivion team, Abs, nav meshing like the road to make the file work, and it was all for this like one shot. And we was like, yeah, let's do less of that in the future. But I think something that I've learned with my videos and that we can all kind of like agree on is you sort of have to do some of these things to teach yourself what not to do, or like where is too far. Like, for example, like I speak about this all the time, like my Dragonborn video, which took way too long to make. To me, that's going too far in a lot of areas, and it had to go that far, and it had to be kind of like a bit over the top and a bit messy and a bit too quick for me to be like, okay, that is too quick, so I know what to do and how to tone it back. You have to like push the line to know where the line is, so you can like make sure you're behind it. Yep.
And striking that balance between like how much is actually really, really masterful as far as like from a presentation point is concerned, but at the same time not making it unwatchable through various of over editing or whatever it may be. So for me, for example, it was the best learning experience was a couple of last videos. And I think one of my videos, not to go too much into like my personal channel, but one of the graphical overhauls, I felt like I went way too far. And I don't necessarily think it affected the viewers' enjoyment, but I thought that I went too far and I spent way too much time on that particular video. So kind of like scaling back and trying to find a balance between what's actually good in order to present the mod or whatever you're showcasing in the best possible way versus not spending way too much time to the point when it's unhealthy. So that's one of the reasons why we actually also became friends too, because we constantly share ideas and what you can do to improve the content, but at the same time not push the line too much to the point where you ruin viewers' enjoyment and stuff like that. And I know that Gim's videos, for example, were like I always looked up to Gim's videos and yours videos, but at the same time you guys kind of sometimes push too far for me. And when I watch your videos, I'm like, okay, I'm now watching from not a creator's perspective, but from a viewer perspective, and I know that this is masterful editing, but it might be at some areas too much. And that's why when you made the Dragonborn video, you scaled back and pretty much made the best video that you've ever made, which is your anniversary edition video, in my opinion. Striking that balance is really, really important.
Yeah, I think the anniversary actually technically came before the Dragonborn.
Was it the before?
Yeah, but to be fair, I had... the Dragonborn video was like 90% done because I've been working on it for so long. So like the last 10% of the Dragonborn video, I was like, just fucking get it out, like just film whatever and just do it. So all of the kind of like over the top stuff came before the anniversary, and that was when I was like, I just want to make like a better, like more compact, but like nicer presented video, which was the anniversary one, which thankfully did well.
I might have a wrong picture because in my head I know everything that's been going on behind the scenes, so I might think in my head it's before.
Yeah, like the timeline of me working on it rather than when it was released. And to be fair, that's where our name Trihards comes in. One, there's three, wow, we're very smart and linguistic. And two, we definitely all suffer from trying way too hard. Probably not like any meaningful result. Like, people notice that we obviously put a lot of effort into things, but the amount, like, I'm not even kidding you, for anyone watching, the amount of effort sometimes we put into things that absolutely no one care or will even notice is ridiculous, and we're the only people that will ever notice that. And there's a bit of that where you kind of have to check, like, what am I doing? Am I doing something just because I know it's cool and I'm proud that I did it, or am I doing something like that is actually going to be worthwhile for the video? Because like, you can spend 6 days on a 30-second part, but then like that part's over in 30 seconds when the viewers watched it. They're not going to remember it like the minute after, right? So you've got to kind of like find a better balance between those type of things when you're making videos, I think.
I've actually never thought of it that way. That actually makes a lot of sense. It's one of those things is, am I doing this because I know that I've jumped through 5 hoops in order to get the shot going, or is it something that is going to be enjoyable for viewers to watch? And that's something that I did in my Hiddens Hidden Gems episode 2, where I literally spent on a single shot, I spent over 3.5 hours because I needed to do things with like Proteus, I needed to do things with different mods, and it just resulted into this overcomplication. Literally, there was like 5 different hoops that I had to go through in order to get the shot, and the shot looks cool, but 99.9% of the viewers do not know how much effort went into it. And then the same one is the Dev Diary one that Gim has been making, the one at the at that street or whatever.
It's not even like a focal point of the video. It's like a intro. He's not even talking about anything. He's like building up, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna have this sick fucking street scene with people walking. It doesn't make sense. No one pays attention to anything that's going on screen at that moment because they're just listening to him and the slow music, like kind of getting into something. So just I don't know why I wanted
it. But Gim, the best scene you've ever done, and I think the best scene that any of us have ever done, and it didn't take too long to do, but it was a bit of a setup just to get the one thing. Can you guess what it is?
Is it also the Dev Diary?
Yeah. Which one is it, Gim?
Oh, mine is
the Fat Thor thing.
No, the bathtub scene, brother.
Oh, the bathtub one.
Because that is good, because it stands out from the rest, because you get so many comments underneath that are like timestamping it, being like, what the fuck happened here?
Yeah, so...
For more... What was it? For more cultured citizens?
Yeah.
It was.
So what happened was, pretty much I just needed why did I need a bath? Okay, so I made this... Naturally, when you're making a video, you want there to be some form of storytelling, right? So he's talking about citizens, and I was like, okay, we're gonna have the same person wear clothes, take off clothes for some reason, and wear new clothes and go party. And I basically needed a bathtub. I don't remember the thought process of this, but Burnsy had made an interior in some... If you don't know, Burnsy is also some form of an interior dev on Skyblivion. He'd made an interior for a tavern, and I just saw it, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna have 2 dudes... close to naked, bathing each other because it's fun.
Because why not?
Yeah, why not? But that didn't take too long to set up, though.
Yeah, to be fair, that was a good balance of, like, taking a bit of a while to kind of figure out what we wanted there, but, like, it was long enough that it was okay, and also it was, like, stand out enough.
It was very funny to make, because we were sitting there like, which animation should we use? And then we found the one with, like, the soup pod and the spoon, and he's, like, pouring it over his head, and it was just perfect.
Yeah, that was a good one. And if everyone wants the biggest example, it's the first one that comes to my brain, and is probably the most extreme one out of any of us for most time spent for the actually most useless thing ever, is... On the Dragonborn video, there is one shot of one of the characters, the Skull character, the woman. She walks through a door and across the screen. Now, that shot took me a week to make, okay?
Yeah.
It's just a person walking through a door. Yeah. Why did I do that?
Yeah, because you physically cannot walk into an interior cell and just have it be connected with the exterior one and just,
And I had to be super, like... fucking autistic about it and be like, you have to see the outside behind and you have to see her walk through like the outside into and it's like no one watching is like caring at all. It's a person walking through a door and then that shot's over in 3 seconds and then they put fire down.
For what that's worth, I really cared when I saw it. I was like, yeah, that's dope. That
because you know it's not possible. The audience don't know it's not possible. Well, they probably do, but it's not like that insane enough to like care. Right?
Yeah, you could have just had like a fade and suddenly she's inside.
Yeah, and it would do the same thing, and no one's gonna like. I'm not even joking you. No one put in the comments of that video timestamped that shot and was like, "Oh, I can't believe how cool that was when they walked through the door." And I was like, "This is
another perfect example of like this tryhardness is we were just sitting in a call. Gim, you weren't there yet, and we were just randomly talking about different transitions and whatnot, and." Burns comes out and says, I've seen this really, really cool transition on Ariana Grande's video.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's just the most random thing ever, and then we go into the video and there's this like rotation with like all of, like the room rotating, but she staying stationary, and that also went into the Dragonborn video.
And somebody timestamped that as well. Yeah.
That also took. You have to like mask every single object or whatever.
Probably I got more comments on that video saying, why is this intro too long, rather than that spin was really cool. So, I don't know if that was worth it, but I'm proud of that one, because I know I can do it now, because that was a big learning curve for me, because
learning,
yeah, I'd never used After Effects before doing that effect, which is probably a terrible thing to try and do for your first time using a program, but that taught me a lot of how to use After Effects, and that's something that I kind of like follow through with pretty much every type of program or skill that I've had. Is sort of like, give me something difficult, or it doesn't always have to be difficult, but something to do with it that is a bit more challenging, so I am forced to learn how to use that thing. After Effects was a big one, and then the biggest one was Creation Kit. This is, I don't know if anyone's ever going to be able to do this the same way, but for Skyblivion, you have to apply and give like a file and like show that you can do things with the Creation Kit before they like let you in or even give you a claim or anything. And I've obviously been in the Skyblivion team for a while doing the dev diaries and things like that. And I've really wanted to know how to use Creation Kit, but I'm like, I can't just sit down and do something for the sake of learning without having some sort of use at the end of it. So I was like, give me an interior to make in Skyblivion so it forces me to learn the Creation Kit. And like, that's probably the most backwards way you should get an interior on Skyblivion. But they're like, okay, right. I mean, we got this random house you can maybe have a look at. And I was like, okay, good. And that was the first time I launched a Creation Kit, was when I was building something for like one of the biggest mod projects ever. So, but it did work. So, it forced me to learn the Creation Kit, so it's good.
Yeah, it also had an additional benefit, so why not?
Yeah, true. And now I'm trapped forever.
When we were starting out, my thought process, I probably told you like at some point a year or two ago, I was thinking like, okay, this is when I had like 1,000 subs. I was thinking, okay, every new video has to have something new that I have to learn and master to, yeah, and then present it and learn it, just like that. And
that was my kind of motto for a while. I don't know how much it's true anymore, but it was do one thing new each time, like try something new each time, and eventually that. At the very start, that's great because you know nothing, so like adding one on each time is great. By the 100th video, you've now got 101 things to do every video, which then gets us all into the situation that we're all in, where we're like, we have to do everything we've done in all our previous videos plus one, and then that makes every video take longer to make, which I think more recently I've been like, screw it, I'll just make videos now rather than just trying to make these ridiculous like movies, otherwise we're going to go 6 months without a video at some point.
Yeah. You eventually hit a brick wall. It's like it's impossible to keep improving consistently without eventually reaching the tip point where you're like, okay, I've kind of learned most of the things, at least within this niche thing that we're doing. So might as well actually embrace it and say, you know what, for the sake of my own sanity and some sort of consistency, I should probably just start cutting corners somewhere. And I think that's where I've found myself in the past couple of weeks, just before I started going back into video making, because I think in the past 6 months, 2 times I've felt burnout because each time I felt like I need to do something new in every new upload, and it's simply impossible, especially when you get to the point where you're maybe satisfied with your videos, but also at the same time you also think, okay, this is as much as I can do, at least within this niche video creating space that we are.
Do you know what I think it is as well? I think, especially with you, and I think you'll agree with me this when I bring it up, is at the start, when you're learning one new thing every time, those one new thing are really big things. Like, they're big, important things that you need to, like, learn how to do in your videos. Once you know a lot of stuff, the things that you have to add on are so small, but, like, weirdly detailed and, like, really hard to do. And it's almost just like you're min-maxing your video for no reason. Like, those little things you're trying to do on each video are taking way too much time, but they're not the big noticeable changes that you were learning at the beginning. They're really small, like really detailed things, and that's where I'm probably like relating it to you being like the MMO min-maxing lord, where it's like, I've now completed YouTube, so now I have to like min-max every video and make it as good as possible. And you probably got that addiction.
It's basically same with like going to the gym. Gim would probably know this. It's like you advance in muscle growth, or generally just any sort of athleticism in question, like the fastest growth is in the first 50%, and then the next 20% becomes slower. But the more and more you get to that 100%, the slower the growth becomes. And that's I think that's the similar here with like a YouTube stuff, because like all the cool stuff that I thought that are cool, I think I've learned, and it's at a point where, okay, I need to chill out a little bit and just actually upload some videos for the sake of consistency instead of trying to add new things all the time.
And I think right now this is something we try to do too much, but I think it should just come with time. It's like trying to like attune and perfect the use of all the things that you use. So like, how do I use sound effects? Is my voice too loud? What music go here? Like just getting those things down, because you're not really learning anything new by using sound effects every video. It's just like
perfecting.
You're just perfecting like where you use them and what do you use and like where you put them and things like that. And sometimes if you have the time, you can obviously do the best thing you can. And sometimes if you're rushed by a sponsor or something like that, then you're just like, oh fuck it, no sound effects here, go video. So sometimes you get it how you want it, and sometimes you don't.
One of the coolest edits that all of us made was like, my favorite was Gim's showcase of like Dwemer pipes.
Yes.
It was really simple, and it wasn't like there wasn't anything like super masterful handcrafting in After Effects or in Vegas. It was just a simple like fast shots, right? And it matches with the music, and then all of a sudden goes into this broken pipe, and that broken pipe transitions into a different shot, but with like a smoke coming out of the pipe. It's very simple to set up if you have like a proper transition. Looks great, but it doesn't take like 50 hours to make or something like that.
It's a prime example of like just finding the best like match of everything. Like the music works perfectly with the edit, with the shots, like to show the mod as well. It really works. You know, you get an idea. So
the music does so much, man. Like my, it's insane how important music is. Like that good track that just fits what you're talking about. You don't even need to do anything fancy on the screen. It's so comfortable to sit there and take that in.
Yep. None of these things is something that I paid attention to until I actually met you two guys. Like, all I did back in the day, up until, I guess, that combat video or whatever, was just slap in the music and then just showcase the mod. But then I met you guys, and then I realized that one of the main reasons why your videos flow so well is because of the music. And then you introduced me to Envato and all of that stuff, so...
Yeah, I mean, the music, like, people have asked about our processes before, and they've changed over the years, but the biggest thing that I started to do, which I think all of us now do, is start with the music. You start with the music still, Gim, don't you? Or do you write?
No, I do the music first now.
Yeah, and it's... When I first started, I think probably all of us when we first started would write the script first, then record your voice, then put it in and find some music to go on top of it. When that's fine, and that'll get you a video, and that's fine, but that wasn't... The way you get what we do, you have to sort of, you start with the music, and then you kind of like imagine what will be shown on screen as you're listening to the music, and the voice thing just comes after. Like, you just speak over the top of it in the end, and I think that's something we all sort of struggle with a little bit as well, and probably most YouTube people is, which is ironic because we're all doing a podcast, is we all hate our own voices, so no one wants to listen to their own voice. So our actual commentary is always the last thing we care about, which is a bad thing, because that's the main reason most people are watching. If I did a voiceless video, it would do nothing, right? Yeah.
I mean, you've even done like the whole video before without your voice thing in, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that did okay, but yeah, it's sort of like I sort of realised that if I could just get a voice actor to do all my videos and they'll do fine, then great. But as much as they're better at narrating and all these type of things, and they have better voices, you build your channel around you, and as much as you don't like yourself, and no one really does, you have to remember that people are there to listen to you talk about things. So if you're not there for the video, then, you know, no one's gonna care as much. There could be some cool cinematic stuff, and then the really niche people will be like, oh yeah, that's really cool, I like that. But like the mass people that are there to just like listen to you talk about mods are just not gonna care as much if you're not there.
I agree with that for sure. There was a few times where I was like either sick or something like that, and genuinely I considered actually having Shay voice something.
You asked me to voice your video once,
you
remember?
I asked you as well, and it was like, you genuinely said, like, I mean, I can, but it's like people are not on your channel for me. It's like people are there specifically so you can narrate stuff, no matter how much you dislike your voice, or, you know, the fact that I'm not a native speaker or whatever, that make mistakes, whether they're grammar or pronunciation. You have to be the one. You have to be the one that speaks, because that's why people are on your channel.
Yeah, it's your
which
channel,
is really
isn't
weird.
it?
Yeah, and which is really weird, because you just said, like, we do everything prior to actually recording our voices, and sometimes all three of us end up in a position where we have this video that we spent so much time into, and we say to each other like, man, I'm gonna ruin this. I spent so much time on sound effects, on music, on having them flow nicely together. Now I have to ruin it with my voice.
Yeah, because when you put your voice in, you then have to turn everything else down so you can hear your voice. And like the best version of the videos that we make are just before we record our narration, because you have like the music blaring, like the sound effects pop really nice, and like the atmosphere you can hear all well, and then as soon as our narration goes in, everything gets muted to the point where it's like you just barely hear some birds in the background and like a splash.
And if you're like on a mobile phone, you hear none of it. Like I remember a few times when you uploaded a video or Gim uploads a video, I want to watch it, right? But I'm on my phone, I'm not on a computer. I literally delay it because I know that I will not be able to appreciate any of the sound effects or anything that comes with it.
If you have headphones, it's not as bad. But if you're playing it through the phone, you're not going to hear it. You literally only hear your voice and barely the music, unless you do what Gim does and put the music at 6,000 decibels higher than his own voice.
That was that one. I'm so okay. So I have like on my left ear, my hearing is shit. I don't know why, but it's like that. And so for that video, I remember. Why did I make it so loud? I think it was just the music was intense, and I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I want the viewer to fucking be scared and jump out of their seats. And then I posted up, and then every single dude in the comment section is like, dude, what the fuck are you saying? I can't hear shit. We just hear this loud ass Harry Potter music. Fucking.
That was Magic video, right?
Yeah. Like there were some parts in the middle that was so loud.
Yeah.
What was it? I mean, we've experimented with this before, because I think even you, Syn, have experimented, and I don't know, maybe you could explain what your thoughts on this are now, but you've experimented with the sort of idea of talking for a bit and then just doing like a music segment for like 30 seconds and then talking about the next mod, then doing that. So tell us why you did that and kind of like where your views on that now are. Yeah,
it was semi-inspired by Melody Sheep, and some people who maybe listen to this podcast will know who Melody Sheep is probably one of the coolest space/astronomy channels that also composes their own music, which we used multiple times in the past. And I've noticed that in his latest video, he obviously has a person who's narrating everything, but the main reason you watch his stuff is for the music and for the visuals, right? Because he's a VFX artist anyway. And so I noticed that he does that particular thing where you enjoy the visuals and you listen to sound effects and all the stuff that he's added, but then the narrator comes in and then the music and the sound effects lowers. So I kind of figured, what if I do that for the first time? And I think, what was the first video where I did that? I think it doesn't really matter, but yeah, I started experimenting with that, and actually works very well. It's about figuring out at which point you want to speak and at which point you actually want to just let the video flow without narration, but at the same time not boring people to death so they click off because you're not speaking. So yeah,
well, you have to use it sort of sparingly in a way that's like makes it unique when you do it, because if it's everything, then they kind of know the flow of the video, so they're like, oh, as soon as you start speaking and the music picks up, they're just gonna skip forward or something because they know.
Yeah, exactly.
Until you get
I mean, it made sense.
It works very well. Yeah.
And
sorry, go ahead.
Like the combat videos you've made, it makes sense there because it transitions to like a dude like walking towards a fucking monster and like fighting. It makes sense then. But I think if I did it, like I say a fuck ton of words in my video because I speak. I'm not gonna lie. I speak too fast in my videos at times. So I said a fuck ton. So for me, like, it doesn't always make sense to go from, like, a YouTuber that talks a lot. It's kind of like a funky vibe, if that... I don't know. And then transition to something serious. It doesn't, like, make sense for me.
I'm not talking, like... I don't think we're referring to, like, the combat part of the video where you just let the gameplay flow for people seeing. I'm just, like, talking in general. Like, the biggest example that I can use is maybe... I don't know... Like the latest video, if you watched like seasons of Skyrim video, there's parts where I just kind of stop speaking for like briefly and let the music pick up, but then I lower it down.
Yeah, so an example would be like, let's say a camera's going through a fucking forest towards a player home you're gonna showcase. You would talk like, and in the forest there's something hiding in the distance, and then it goes through, and then you'd stop speaking, and the music would like, I get.
So it keeps the like the attention of the viewer to a degree, but at the same time it also allows you, I guess, maybe to experiment a little bit with audio levels as far as narration, music and sound effects is concerned.
Yeah, and speaking of narration, This is my attempt at a segue. Daniel Hodge is narrating our stuff for segments. And speaking of segments, let's talk about podcast segments. Is that a segue? Does that work?
Fuck it.
Was that all of that? Was that an intro? We were just like rambled.
Okay,
yeah, it's just me to say, let's talk about segments. Okay.
Okay. So moving forwards, we want the audience to be a part of our. Okay, we want people to
We're
take
so
part.
generous. We want you to help us make money. No,
Anyways, we are Trihards, right? So we want to make
Yeah.
most out of our podcasts, and we want to have these segments. But the thing is, we just thought we'd use this first episode to kind of like connect our brains and come up with different ideas of segments that we can use. Like the typical obvious ones are like we have fans write questions that we can answer, or maybe you want advice, like relationship advice. I mean,
just so you know, unless you're asking Syn, it's probably going to be bad advice. Okay.
I mean, at
So-
the end of
That's what makes it interesting.
At the end of the day, we're three different individuals, right? Of different age and interests. You know, Syn is mature and shit, and experience. I'm like fucking. I'm a entrepreneur.
I appreciate the synonyms for old.
no. But you can come up with some actual good advice. Well, I'm like, I just know stuff, and Burnsy's like a fucking idiot.
Whoa. What do you mean you know stuff? That's the most like vague thing anyone. I just know stuff. What do you?
I feel like I know stuff about life and the functions of the human body.
Okay.
What? What do you even mean by that? Okay, I'm what? Sorry, go on, insult me.
I mean, you always have something interesting to say, right?
Oh, okay.
No matter what it is.
Right.
So
Sure.
we'd come up with some like cool advice. So that's something we could do if you want that. Any other ideas? I guess.
We had a really good idea actually, which I think we should definitely do. And let me know in the audience in the comments if things like this would be more fun than just random topics, because I kind of like the idea of this type of stuff. Is like once a podcast, we have a short 10-15 minute segment, depending on how long it takes, where we all bring in some comments off each other's videos, like hate comments or something like that. And then we basically present them to each other, and then we have to guess whose video they're talking about based on what like their complaints are, which I think is going to be kind of a funny one to do, because then we're probably going to end up insulting each other in the Crossfire, which is why we were going to title it Crossfire, which is a pretty good name.
Right.
That was my
we can
idea.
do that. I think it would be very easy to guess because they're so distinct, and they're so... For every single one of us, they're actually really, very distinct, and I'd automatically know from which video they come from, whether it's yours or Gim's.
Well, that's our job
mine,
to pick
obviously,
some
but-
very difficult ones then, isn't it?
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Why not? It could be fun, yeah.
Trust me, we all have plenty of hate comments. We'll find
I also
enough.
think, as boring as it is, I also think it would be nice if we can just chat about gaming news in general,
Yeah,
not just
yeah.
necessarily related to like modding, which is probably going to take off when Starfield comes out. It's another good topic to talk about, and just gaming news in general. Like, I don't know, I'm just throwing stuff that is very popular at the moment. There's this talks that, for example, Diablo Immortal, the mobile game that got released recently, is getting banned in China over some tweet. So that's kind of a good thing to talk
Over
about.
a
And
tweet?
just, yeah. I mean, if you want the details, I can give you the details, but just using that as an example rather than anything. Or just like Bethesda news or whatever
We
that
probably
may be.
should. I don't know if we want to do like a big segment on like a future podcast, or if we want to delve into it now, but we should definitely give our thoughts on Starfield and like what we think about it, because we all have different views, I think.
Yeah, I wanted us to
right.
talk about like just gaming, like releases and blah 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 announcements in this podcast. I thought it would be good.
I mean,
but
do you want to give like, can we like give our thoughts about Starfield right now?
Yeah,
because it's
go
probably
ahead.
going to be the game.
yeah,
Who's doing it? Can I start, or do you guys want to start?
You go, Syn, because you're like the rational one. Then Gim can go, I don't care about anything, and then I can go, I'm really excited. So you go, Syn. Off you go. Tell us what you
Okay.
thought.
All right, I'm gonna try to keep it as brief as I can, but I have a lot of thoughts about this, which are kind of weird that they go together because they're mixed. Obviously, I'm very, very excited because I'm a big space nerd and stuff. I really like astronomy. I really like anything related to space. So the idea of being able to explore kind of like planets that are maybe uninhabited or whatever, different types of planets, is a really cool idea. And spaceship building is also something that I have a huge interest in. And there is, the modding potential that is also something that I'm hugely excited about. The gameplay showcase was a little bit concerning for my personal view because it was low in frames.
Because this wasn't it?
Yeah, this showcase is basically the best thing that they could have picked out for that time, right? Because it is a showcase. That means that they handpicked the best thing that they have at the moment. And the gameplay was a little bit stiff, in my personal opinion. The gunplay was a little bit stiff, and the frame rate drops were frequent. That's like my two main concerns. And my third main concern was actually something that surfaced relatively recently, like 2 days ago. There is a leak or a rumor that one person that is involved in Starfield's development said that one of the reasons why they are looking to, or they wanted to delay the game, is because they looked at the Cyberpunk 2077's launch and had a kind of a thought, maybe we don't want the same fate as CD Projekt. That would mean that the game is maybe not ready,
buggy,
or extremely buggy, filled with bugs and stuff like that. So there's probably a lot of things to iron out. And the fourth concern would be obviously the procedural planets, the 1,000 planets, which is the concern that everybody has. I don't necessarily think that's the big deal compared to the other three that I mentioned, because it just leaves more room for people to mod their planets, which is going to be amazing. And also Todd came out recently and said that Starfield, even though it's going to have procedural planets and dead planets without necessarily a lot of content, they have handcrafted the most content that they have ever done in the past. So to summarize, excited about it, but also carefully and very carefully optimistic about it, and hoping that it will be one of the new games that will be incredibly moddable, hopefully as much as Skyrim, or maybe even more, because the potential is there.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Jim?
Okay, so you guys obviously know how I felt about it. So I don't like people hyping up stuff that hasn't been announced. I mean, they had announced Starfield, but everyone was talking about it like, oh, it's gonna be so sick, so insane.
Well, we were. I don't know if the internet was.
I was joining like voice calls, and you were like, oh, Starfield.
No, it wasn't like that. Okay,
I'm gonna make so many videos. So
it was like that though. Yeah.
That was like that. Yeah.
So
that was accurate.
Okay, so for beginners, I don't like space games in general. I think it's not. I like bows and arrows and elves.
Yeah,
that's just what I like. I'm more into fantasy stuff like Skyrim. But when it came to the announcement, the stuff that excited me was everything that had to do with role play, RPG. When he talked about how you progress your character, you can pick different jobs, or you could be a bounty hunter, traits, personalities. That stuff excited me because that's what Bethesda's good at, right? You play a character in a fun world that you can somewhat interact with. What I don't like is when Bethesda are the ones that are, coming up and they're trying to come up with these points that are gonna sell us on these games, and they're like, 1,000 planets, sick graphics. Like, I'm not playing Bethesda games for 1,000 planets, sick graphics, and insane gameplay. I've never played Bethesda games for gameplay. Like, okay, maybe Doom has good gameplay, but Fallout didn't have like sick gameplay. Like the combat was
Fallout has actual, to be fair, quite awful first-person shooter compared to first-person shooters, right?
Yeah, I don't need all that gameplay stuff. I just need nice RPG elements. Make me feel like a different dude, not like Gim in a game and that's just doing stuff. But the 1,000 planets thing, that worries me, because it means we're gonna have 1 or 2 big cities that we're gonna be in a lot, and just some random wastelands here and there that are gonna be empty. And I predict that we're gonna get the Preston Garvey treatment, where it's gonna be you're joining a faction, and there's gonna be like, oh, we have a settlement on planet T57. Move there, traveler, and save its citizens. And then we have to like go to some planet far away, fly there, maybe kill some space pirates, and give some dude a barrel of rice. These errands on random ass wasteland planets. I'm not into that. But I'm definitely more optimistic about Starfield than I was. I still just want my Elder Scrolls, man. That's all I really want. So I'm gonna play it, and I think it's gonna be on Game Pass, right?
Yeah, I think day one Game Pass. Yeah.
that you want. Game
Yeah,
Pass.
so Game Pass you can get like 3 months for free for $1. So hopefully that
Man,
offers.
skimping. Let's get some money injected in the podcast so we can actually pay him a wage for once.
For fuck's sake. So I'm gonna hopefully that offer is still available when Starfield comes out. Then I'm gonna be big chilling, like $1 free Bethesda, basically a free Bethesda game.
If I can just add briefly, like that's such a good point because like people play Bethesda game for a role-playing experience. Like we have tolerated, let's face it, as much as we love Bethesda games, they tend to be on a buggier side, but we tolerate it because that charm of replayability through role-playing, because you're not a defined character, you're just an adventure, and then you can insert that character into that adventure and decide what you want to be. And I think that's a really good point, Kim.
And
that's
I
one of the
think
things.
Like credit has to be given. I mean, you have to see how it actually plays and how much of it is true and all those type of things. But I think credit has to be given to Bethesda for taking some advice on the chin and rolling back some things that they changed in future titles and then people didn't respond to too well. For example, voice protagonist gone now. You've also got like, I don't think this was really a criticism as much, but they've like gone back to the sort of Oblivion Fallout 3 zoom thing when you speak to a character, so you can see their faces emote more and things like that. Yeah, the traits and classes, they were gone in Skyrim even and Fallout 4. Now they're back. I mean, Fallout 4, I guess you get to choose your special points at the beginning, but yeah, the classes are back. The traits, I think, like Gim, you mentioned, I think that's the most exciting thing for me. Is the ones that actually affect things in the world I really like the look of. The ones that, like, you have parents and they live, but they tax your money. Like, just having something that's unique to that trait that you can't get in some other, when you don't select that trait. I think they're really good, and like the starter home, things like that. I like the ideas of, because one of the criticisms and the concerns, probably as well that you might feel, Gim, is the one of the reasons you might not like space stuff, or at least this type of space thing, is it's sort of like it's out of the world, but it's sort of realistic enough that it's not magical. There's no like Daedra, there's no demons or this type of stuff, right? So you haven't got all this lore and like world building that has been made.
It's just lore. I really need lore.
And one of the things I think that seems promising is that there are, by the looks of it, quite a few like proper religions in the game that seem to worship like sort of weird things. Like even like one of them says they worship the Great Serpent, and you get a bonus to like gravity boosting. So that seems to mean that then maybe they worship like gravity itself, which could. It sounds sort of boring if you're just like, gravity, but like if you put some weird magical spin on gravity and just like push it a bit more sci-fi, you can probably do some really cool like weird things with that. And also the sort of implications that our main quest is sort of going to be hunting these like ancient alien artifact things. That adds a lot of implications to like, or there's something out there that is bigger and that was here before us, that has that sort of like Elder Scrolls-y history, like with the magic and the Daedra and all this type of thing. Like there's things out there that are unexplained that people don't know, that we're going to get to interact with. So that gives me a lot of hope for like the world at least.
Yeah.
So I honestly playing looked better, but it didn't look incredible.
Better compared to
Fallout 4.
It looked like Fallout 4 with mods.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I just sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I just thought that the gunplay was missing, that punchy feel. Like it missed some sort of like impact to it. And I just couldn't get over the frame drops. I really couldn't get, because in my mind this is the best footage they could have gotten, and it's this framey.
Well, yes and no. They have to film it on Xbox, right? Because it's Xbox Showcase. So they're locked to the Xbox specs, which it obviously should run well on Xbox. It shouldn't be framey on Xbox. But I don't think you're going to be the problem person struggling with frames on Starfield, right? Like you're probably going to be perfectly fine with your computer.
Yeah, so what did you guys think about the visuals, by the way? Looks really good, doesn't it?
I think it looks really good, yeah. I think Todd has mentioned this. I didn't really watch his interviews or listen to him or read them, but I think he's said recently that like there's only so far you can go with like graphics before the changes you start making don't actually affect that much. Like they're all graphics are, I know people said this in like 1999 when you had Pong and shit, but like the graphics are like good enough in video games now that like how much more room can you make to make them better and better each time? Like they're with like RTX and ray tracing and all these things, even though ray tracing and RTX same thing. Games are pretty darn realistic, and Cyberpunk looks like within that realm of like a really good looking, especially for Bethesda game.
Right.
And I think Todd has mentioned before that like you push graphics to a certain point, and then you just have to care about other things, because that's not what players want after a certain point. You can have the best looking game in the world, but if it's just a walking simulator, then you're gonna get bored after 10 minutes, whether it looks great or not.
Regardless, I was impressed with the visuals. I really liked everything. I liked the environment, I liked the lighting, and I liked the characters.
Yeah,
I genuinely did enjoy that. That was like the thing that I really liked.
But
also,
go ahead.
Also, just wanted to add that Todd Howard had like an additional like an interview after the trailer or the showcase, and he did alleviate some of my concerns a little bit by saying that, you know, whenever I heard 1,000 procedural planets, I was like, oh my god, it's just going to be generated content.
10 times the planets.
Yeah, and then, but he did say even though there is procedural content, we did this in the past already. It's not like the first time we're doing something like this. And additionally, if you don't like procedural content, keep in mind that this is the game in which we spend the most time on handcrafted content, and it's going to have more handcrafted content than any of our previous games, which is obviously a nice thing to hear.
I think I heard that New Atlantis is the biggest one city playable area that they've ever made, and even just from the very short clips they've shown of like the people walking around, for a Bethesda game there's a lot of people, and Bethesda games are meant to be like every person has a story and they have a name and all that thing. There seems to be a lot of people, so I don't know if there's just going to be a lot of like Civilian 1, Civilian 2, or if they're all
like
actually
Cyberpunk.
Or if they're actually all like proper characters, which would be pretty insane if that is the case. And if they are proper characters, that's some props given to them for spending the time to do that, because that seems, for that many characters, kind of a lot of work, and all to have schedules and like live in one house somewhere each and all these type of things. And I think when we've sort of seen behind the curtains a lot with Skyrim in particular, which is when we're making videos and even like making small mods with Creation Kit and things like that, you see you know how the game's built and how it works a lot, so you're sort of more impressed when you see things that a lot of people take for granted, like mods, for example. To get good mods in our game, we have to go through a lot of steps and a lot of mods, and it hits a lot of frames to get good mods. Cyberpunk mods look really good. Granted, it's not like Skyrim with loads of trees and like cows and everything. A lot of it's just like a planet, so it's just like hills and whatever, right? But like they look really good for a Bethesda game. Typically, like mods are not their strong suit, so things like that I notice.
Yeah, that was that one planet that had like greenery and stuff. I'm also excited for variety, because it's like, even though I do agree partially with Gim, it's like I'm also in the same boat as well. Even though I'm a space nerd, I'm like, man, I really like fantasy. I really like medieval stuff. But the good thing about Starfield being set in a sort of futuristic type of a space setting is that literally it's limitless. The options are limitless. They can do whatever the hell they want. They can create whatever they want as far as planets are concerned, with like no breaks, because it's like it can be alien, it can be like oasis type, it can be a desert, it can be a rock, it can be filled with greenery and stuff. And there was one of them that had like animals and stuff, and had vegetation and all of that. So I'm really excited for variety and exploring all of that stuff.
I have a question sort of related to that. Do you think, just because it's Elder Scrolls, it's going to do great and everyone's going to love it, whatever, but do you think there's a fear of Elder Scrolls 6 being almost overshadowed by how much variety and how big of a playable area there is in Starfield? Because like, how... You're just going to have one province, possibly you have Hammerfell and High Rock or whatever, but it's just like one big landmass. It's not like 1,000 planets with all different variety and ice and this and that. It's like they have to stick to what those provinces are allowed to do. Do you feel like Starfield, I mean, we won't know until we play, but do you feel like there might be a fear of Starfield overshadowing Elder Scrolls 6 in that regard?
I don't think so.
I think
people are just so excited for Elder Scrolls 6 that I don't think whatever Starfield does, even if it does the best homework in delivering the best product that we can imagine in the space universe, nothing is going to trump the excitement when Elder Scrolls 6 gets announced and stuff like that. So it's just such a big IP, and everything that comes with it is just, one of the main reasons why people know about Bethesda is because of Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, it's always
especially so.
Yeah, I just hope that they build on what they announced, like what we saw for the Starfield. I hope they build on that for the next Elder Scrolls. That's what got me really excited.
Do you think they did the Elder Scrolls 6 trailer in Starfield?
It was CGI though, wasn't it? It wasn't.
Yeah, but in what? In Unreal?
In a 3D program? I don't know. Probably.
Doesn't seem like Bethesda, does it? To do like a rendered. It looks remarkably like Starfield graphics and landscape.
I don't remember it too well.
Well, we'll see when they actually start making the game, I guess.
Well, were there any other games you guys are excited about that were announced?
Are there any games that were announced?
I'm excited for Callisto Project. I don't know if you guys know about
the
that.
Resident Evil thing?
It, but...
Yeah, the fans of Dead Space franchise will be excited for it because it's literally Dead Space but on steroids. It's really, really good looking. It's basically, again, one of those things where it's set in space and whatever, but it's kind of like a mix between action shooter and a horror type of a setting, and you just shoot necromorphs and monsters and what have you and use everything at your disposal to progress.
So it's like a horror space single player game?
Yeah, you can pick up Dead Space right now on a Steam summer sale for like $1 or something like that, whatever. And it's actually a pretty good game even for today's standards, in my opinion. But yeah, it's like an action shooter / horror setting.
I mean, the two games
set in space.
The two games that I was most excited for, neither of them were shown at the Xbox thing, which were Fable and Dragon Age 4, and neither of them. They announced a Dragon Age title now. It's Dreadwolf or whatever, but those are still the two that I actively care about. That I've got absolutely zero information on. So, Gim, anything you saw that you liked? Because there was nothing else for me.
I mean, there was a Cuphead DLC. I've never played Cuphead, but I still like it.
What does that mean?
I like the way they promote it. I saw 2 episodes of the TV series. Yeah, I just love the vibe. They know what they're doing and they do it right.
There's also Ragnarok to be excited about, I guess.
Yeah, I still need to play God of War 1, yeah. Oh, here's something I am excited about. Wasn't in the Xbox thing. The Spider-Man game is coming on PC. It's not already out, is it?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, I'm not a big on
Yeah, it was a really good game. I played on the PS4, but yeah.
I'm going to play it again. I get to play it. I get to play it though, so I'm happy, okay?
Fine.
That's
you
it.
can have that.
Well, tell us about what's the game called after Arkham? What's the new one with the?
Oh, Gotham Knights. Okay, so
go on, give us your rant.
It is the same studio, I believe. So it is, but they're changing the formula, right? So the new thing is that Batman dies and the Bat family has to take over. And I love everything Batman. Nightwing is my favorite superhero. So I love all that stuff, but it also looks very weird. It doesn't look like
generic.
So I guess it's a multiplayer aspect that makes it feel a bit cheaper.
Right. Like
they're skimming on some parts when it comes to immersion, atmosphere. And a lot of people pointing at the combat. Some of it looked like Batman or the Arkham games. The combat in those games is fucking ball-dropping insane. It's like you hear every single thud. You do sick combos. It's Batman. But in the Gotham Knights, it felt like they were kind of like... You barely heard any thuds.
Tell me if this is a worthy comparison. From an outsider looking in, it reminds me a little bit, and this might be a massive low blow, but it reminds me a little bit of like the Square Enix like Marvel Avengers game and the Guardians of the Galaxy thing, where it's just kind of like a co-op.
I mean, that was linear though. I'm pretty sure that was an open world. This is at least an open world Gotham.
Right, I got you.
And not Arkham, Gotham. So a full-on Gotham. And you can I think you can co-op, between the 4 characters. So, I mean, I'll play it either way because I love Nightwing. If any of you guys want to join, I guess.
Listen, I'm open to playing everything once, okay?
Yeah, same.
I'll try it.
We can also try Darktide as something to look forward.
Darktide.
You know that, me and you, Burns, we played Vermintide 2 extensively at some point, and Gim never joined us because he didn't want to get it. unless it's on sale. Even though it's on sale now for like $5.
It was like £7 when we bought it as well.
Yeah. Basically, Vermintide 2 is. Darktide is basically just a continuation of that genre. It's a Warhammer. I'm not necessarily well versed into that too much, but it's a good first-person hack and slash shooter. You can check it out. Looks really good.
Yeah, we had
Looks
a lot
really,
of fun
really
with Vermintide, to be fair. So
it was super
definitely be
fun.
up for it. Yeah, and if we have Gim as well, finally.
I think Gim would be more likely to join this one because it's Vermintide is more hack and slash, while Darktide at least Fat Shark says, their developers, they say that it's a balance between gunplay and hack and slash. So there's a little bit of everything for everyone, I think, out of the three of us, I think.
Well, there's one game that we have all been playing that I think Gim now hates because he told me to F off when I asked him to play it the other day, is Apex Legends. Gim, why do you hate it?
Are we done with Apex?
I don't know, I thought he was still alive.
The issue
I
is...
think Gim's killed it for us.
There's not enough... Okay, so we've won a couple of games, right? What did that do
Won a
for
lot
you?
of games, okay?
None of us were happy. We were like, oh shit, we won.
I agree. We won and that was it. Yeah, there was like no reward
when
for
I played
it.
Because all of our wins are shit. When we have good games, we die. We like get loads of kills, but then we die. Anytime we win, it's because we hide in a corner and just accidentally win by them getting killed by the last zone or something.
I guess it just feels like I'm playing for nothing, you know? Give me something, a leaderboard with a KD, anything. Like,
I mean, why don't you just download Vermintide 2 and try it with us? I think you will enjoy it genuinely. I think you're just like convinced that you want to like.
It's a COD zombie kind of. It's pretty much the same thing, right?
Yeah.
No.
It's COD zombies.
No,
It's,
I mean,
there's rounds.
kinda. It's like
you get swarmed by zombies. I mean, I like it, yeah, but it's just. I don't know.
I think we should try it. It's on sale right now, so if you want to try it, I think it will be a lot of fun. If you don't want to play Apex anymore, I'm still for Apex. I feel like we stopped after that arcade run or whatever.
Yeah, I say we should.
Yeah, we stopped after I got really pissed off with both of you for throwing a tantrum.
You were
and then I was
ass
like,
at arcade. You were fucking.
You
me
were-
and Syn were like
you were-
sticking together
Arcade.
perfectly, and you were like fucking charging ahead. Boys,
This is
what
not
the
true.
fuck are
Charging
you?
ahead.
What the fuck?
Yeah, because you have to be aggressive, boys. You can't sit back and let them come
You gotta
to you when you're
hold
on the
corners.
defensive.
No.
You didn't hold any corners
did.
with me. You always ran the
I'm
opposite
pretty sure.
way.
I'm pretty sure I got the most kills.
I told you in the one map
we
where
lost-
I freaked out, there was one area that if they get first, they win. Okay, that's the answer. And none of you would follow me there to fight for
Yeah, but
it.
based on what?
Yeah,
It's
but
just based
every
on
round
dumbass.
It's our first. It's our
No,
first time playing this map.
we-
and it's like,
No, it
boys,
wasn't.
See,
It was
guys,
like the-
even now our friendship is falling apart because of this goddamn game.
Yeah, maybe-
we had 2 losses,
maybe we
okay,
shouldn't
and then
play
we
this
had 2
game.
wins. And it was like a final round who wins basically takes the cake or whatever. And you just charge into that damn room
'Cause you
even though
need
you
it.
see we're not following us.
You need the
don't
room.
desperately need it.
You
There's
do.
no capture the flag or something. There isn't an area that you have to hold. It's just a good position to have.
You boys just don't understand the tactics, okay? You say in the military mind like I am. I've just got all the tactics down.
He got really pissed, and then I'm like, "What do you mean you don't have to be there?" And Game was like, "I'm with Syn on this one," and then we just
you guys
stopped
were
playing
like
after
shouting
that.
at each other. And I was in the background, like, yeah, fucking, it's not that deep, guys.
It is that deep because no one will
Oh,
listen
God.
to me. Okay. Well,
Honestly, I kind of miss playing it. It's a fun game.
I like
even
Apex.
though
okay, we're back. We had a little bit of technical malfunction because SgtGimlinho here doesn't have any room on his fucking computer, right?
I mean, yeah, basically, yeah.
we can.
Okay. Anyway, we were shouting each other over Apex, but we're done with that. We have to put it in the past, bury the hatchet. We're all happy now, okay? No one had any disagreements about Apex at all. Everyone listened to me, and we won all of our games. That's how the narrative goes now.
Sounds
Yeah,
like
for sure.
cap, but sure.
Cap.
Okay. We should sort of like not go on for too much longer. So if there's anything we want to in particular speak about, and then we'll wrap it up. Feel free.
I have one more idea for a segment. So,
Okay.
I don't know how to explain it. So let's say we all choose to do something, like experience something. This is a wild ass example, but let's say we all chose that for a week we're gonna read a fucking erotic manga. It's just a random example. Relax.
Why does it have to be
Oh,
that?
it doesn't have
though?
to be. Okay, for a whole week, we're gonna cut the grass and fucking learn the art of
Yeah,
cutting
okay,
grass.
that's fine now that I've called it out, but the first thing that came to your mind was reading erotic fan fiction.
It popped up in my no. Okay, fuck you.
Yeah, why? That's what I want to ask. Is like, why is that like the first thing that comes to your brain out of everything?
New example. Let's say, for example, for a whole week, we're gonna dive into wood cutting. We're gonna cut wood, and we're gonna do.
Where do you think I'm gonna cut wood?
Just roll with it.
It's an example.
I live in the middle of England. Where do you want me to go,
for
bro?
a whole week.
Learn how to cook properly.
I know how to cook
Properly, without like making ramen or some shit. I
Okay,
don't know, it's an example.
how to make ramen.
Okay, an actual real example, and that I actually want you guys to experience, because I love anime, right?
Banana phone.
And
We're not
Relax.
watching anime.
bruv.
No, hear me out. So for a whole week,
How about you don't watch anime for a week? How about that one?
no. So
We'll see how many bitches you get after that.
it's not like I watch anime every week. Okay,
No, it's just
so
every day.
I pick out, for example, an anime, and you guys have to watch 5 episodes, and it's your like first anime ever, and then we talk about it on the podcast. You get what I'm saying? What kind of segment this is? It's like we experience something out of the ordinary, we come back, and we talk about it.
Out of the comfort zone, something that you don't know or
Yeah.
understand. Okay, I get the concept. Yeah, why not? Could be fun.
Well, what are some examples then that we can get that don't include erotic fan fiction?
I want-
Or we could do erotic fan fiction. It would just be kind of a demonetized podcast.
Yeah,
but,
it could be fun.
That's fine.
But anyways, I want you guys to watch anime, so that's why
Oh, come off it. No, we're not watching anime.
What do we want Gim to do that he always refuses to do?
I mean, I do everything, so there's nothing I...
Don't want to play Starfield though. Or play Vermintide. Or play Apex Legends.
Or Apex Legends.
No, but I think that's a good segment. Experiencing something that you don't normally do and talking about it. It's a fun little...
I think we need a modding news segment as well. Legitimately, like a segment where
That sounds great, but that will turn into modding drama.
Fair enough.
Because as soon as we start speaking about like what's coming out and whatever, then opinions are going to come in, and then like people are going to get upset.
Since we're talking,
we can do it. We're just going to annoy a lot of people. I'm fine. It's just how it is.
I mean,
life.
I don't care. I mean,
we're going to annoy someone by doing this podcast.
their opinions. If you get a little bit upset over somebody else's opinion, that it's kind of a you problem, I think.
Anyway, since we mentioned Skyrim Modding, I think it's a good time to say that we appreciate all Skyrim modders. Especially as of late, these last 2 months have been fire when it comes to Skyrim modding.
Yep.
Every day you can go into the Nexus of a fucking 10, 11-year-old game, see some insane new mod. It's a good time to be a Skyrim mod person.
Shout out to my boy The Lootist, who just put out a quest mod. Go download it indoors, get it back on Hot Mods.
Oh, that's the dude from Skyblivion team, right? That made his own quest. I actually wanted to try it out and didn't get a time.
I am ashamed to say I still haven't actually played it, but I'm sure it's great.
It's like an armor thing, right? You get an armor and a sword.
Yeah, you get like some armor sets, and there's like some new dwarven creatures, and there's like a dungeon and a quest or something like that. Yeah, and some weapons.
I will add shout out to mod authors that choose to release their mods on Nexus and keep it there.
Yeah.
Please stop Father, we know where this is going, but we'll save that to modding
It's
news
not going
week
anywhere.
one.
I'm just saying that's what modding is all about, and I have huge respect for authors who keep their mods on Nexus. That's all.
Yeah, and keeping in the spirit of modding as well, because I mean, modding it's inherently a free and like non-exploitive thing. Like it's a community of people that just want to make things for a game and share them with other people. So shout out to the people that keep in that spirit. Honestly, best example of this, Jay Serper.
Yeah.
Keeps making really cool mods, never stops, and always puts them on Nexus and always like shares them with everyone.
Yep.
And he's really happy to like help everyone with everything. Those type of people, love them. Shout out
exactly.
Jay Serper and
Jay
everyone else.
Serper.
We're gonna shout out. Are we gonna shout out everyone?
Immersion
Yes.
God, I would say even.
I fucking
and he's
love
always.
GG Unit, the Lux guy. Bro,
Yep.
he's
his Markov stuff just came out.
Yeah.
Didn't it?
Yep.
bro,
That's
he's so creative, and the dude makes patches for everything.
and packs it everything into a single foam mod, which is really, really admirable. Like, it's like not only that you make a mod that is incredible, like specifically I guess Lux, which is one of the best lighting mods that's ever created for Skyrim's engine, and it's like not only that he goes out of his way to create such an awesome lighting mod, but he also spends God knows how much time making patches for thousands of other mods out there in order to make it as compatible as possible, and then packs it into a full mod. I mean, again, like the first thing that I said at the beginning wasn't necessarily a jab towards anybody. It's just that I genuinely respect authors that go out of their way to put stuff on Nexus and keep it there, regardless of what they are outside of the realm of modding. I think it's really cool when somebody just decides to put their creation out there and just let people experience it without expecting anything in return, because originally that's what the modding is all about. And obviously this particular subject treads carefully towards the realm of, you know, charging for mods or early access mod and stuff like that, and I don't necessarily want to delve too much into that. If you want to do that, that's all on you. It's just that genuinely, ever since that became a thing, I have much more respect to people like J Serpa or GG Unit. I mean, honestly, I'm a big fan of Anaya Sion. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. I know some people had some weird beef with him in some Reddit posts or whatever, but like he puts everything on Nexus and it's always there, gets updated.
I think I said this before, right? We kind of have to be grateful for Nexus, that platform, because, you know, modding is a weird space when it comes to what's allowed and what's not. And Nexus is so freaking good, and it is the main site for mods. Out of this site, we've built communities, we've built, you know, God knows what. So I just think we should be grateful that we have that site where we can do modding, get mods, upload mods, all somewhat legit, right?
I mean, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing even
without
now.
Nexus.
Never mind this podcast, but just even our channels without Nexus, even just giving a platform for mods to become as big as they are. Because modding, let's admit it, modding wouldn't be a community and be big without Nexus, like providing the platform for it to happen. If they were all on random sites like Lovers Lab and what's the other one that you, Vector Plexus and all these random ones, if those are the only places you can get mods, I'm sure there's communities there that are on them, but like the fact that we have this big one centralized community, which is the Nexus modding community, is a huge thing. And Bethesda would have never put mods on their own game if Nexus wasn't there, like leading the charge. Shout out to them. Yeah, shout out for Nexus and like their administrators or whatever. Such huge heavy lifting for the modding community, specifically Skyrim, Fallout, and a few others. There was, you know, that policy change, kind of like mini drama, whatever you want to call it, and I always respect authors' position of them choosing to do whatever they want. It's just that I think it's a healthy thing to recognize that Nexus has enabled a space for people to do what we're doing and experience each other's creations, and being a little bit ticked off at them for choosing to set up rules and regulations within their own space. I don't think it's unreasonable position to have, but I think some people tend to maybe confuse that with, you know, just being overly angry over something that they shouldn't. You know, Nexus is a great place for mods. It remained neutral, and it remained a space for almost every single creation out there, even if it goes into the NSFW space. So, yeah. And speaking of, shout out to everyone out there that make good armors that I can actually show on YouTube without getting banned. Shout out to all the people who make armors, bro. Have you seen even the skimpy ones? Have you seen how good they are? Yeah, they're all but we can't show them on YouTube. I've done before. I've done them in the past as well, but I branched out. I was like, I don't want to do these NSFW stuff. Not that I have anything against them. I actually welcome it. It's just YouTube is not a very welcoming space for that. True. I mean, if there's anyone to go by, MXR has been castrated by YouTube for a long time. So if there's any set an example of like, don't do this, that was probably one of the bigger ones. Yeah, it was one of the bigger ones, yeah. And it's so maybe don't go down that route. Yeah, and it's even within the community that we're a part of already, so it's a good showcase not to do it, not to tread down that path.
But yeah, Nexus is awesome. Big shout out to them, and also big shout out to all of the authors again for uploading their stuff there and keeping it there, because it's awesome.
Damn,
Everybody gets to experience it.
family.
We got real serious and wholesome here at the
At the end.
And now it's a good time to close it out, because we wanted to keep this one. To be fair, this has gone on.
It's been like an
longish.
hour or something. I don't know
An
how
hour,
accurate
an hour
my-
and 10 minutes exactly.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's any things that are going to be, obviously when Gim X'd out, it's going to be cut, but like, I don't know if there's much that's going to be cut out, so I don't know if it's going to be that much shorter that you guys are watching, but we do want to kind of keep this one as brief-ish as we can. We don't know necessarily what the goal is for future ones, if we want like 2-hour podcasts or like just try and stick to 1 hour every episode or whatever, but we'll figure that out along the way. What we want most from the people watching is just tell us in the comments what you want to see. Segment ideas, topics ideas, ask us questions, anything. This is a new channel, there's nothing on it apart from this, so we're all looking at it every day. Every comment is going to be read. I mean, we read literally all the comments on our own channels anyway when there's like 100,000 views, so we're definitely going to be reading these ones. Especially Gim, who has nothing better to do because he has no videos.
I do. I do. Trust. It's a summer vacation. I've got 2 uploads coming.
Yeah, but the summer's halfway gone.
No, it's not.
You're doing 1 video, so you're going to get 2 videos up this summer, and then that'll be the year.
I don't know when this podcast is coming out, but I'm guessing when it comes out, it's going to be around the time of my next upload.
Okay, so we actually might have a Gim upload.
If that's not the case, then yeah, you caught me in my bullshit.
Now you're publicly on camera saying all of that, so you have no like, you cannot run away from shame if you don't do it, if you don't stick to it.
You can bullshit to us as much as you want in private, but now it's on the internet now, brother. And you gotta make videos. And
also, I want to mention that this podcast or this thing that we decided to put out is kind of purposely, I don't want to say disorganized, because it's not disorganized, but it's purposely unscripted, because we want to go with the flow and see what the audience wants rather than decide a specific direction and stick to it. And we also want to keep our windows open for different things rather than be just in a Skyrim modding bubble. We want to have a podcast or a place where we can kind of chat about anything, really. So yeah, if you guys, as Burn said, if you have any suggestions, comments, you can leave it down below. We'll consider it.
And that seems like a good place to end it, boys. Well done.
Well done indeed.